Hello, and welcome. This is Julie with the Jewel Design, and today, well, this video is going to be a little bit more spliced. I'm actually going to edit for once, and where you're sitting right now is everything I hope to use, and then some, in our newest journal. So I am going to attempt a waterfall journal, about 8 1/4 wide by 8 3/4 deep, or tall, I guess. Almost a perfect square, but not quite, right? Almost 8 by 9. And we are going to use my black and white Paris kit. Paris inspired vintage black and white kit. A little bit of gray tone to it. It's not all perfect, just black or white. There's a lot of gray in between. But I think it's going to look great with a black matted border to about 1/8 of an inch. And we have laces and sari silks, pearls, ribbons. This is a little taupey, but still in the gray tones. I've been collecting stuff in black and white for some time. But we have like glassine bags and clear vellum envelopes and bits and pieces of fabrics that were black that we were given, but have something on them. I'm really hoping things I found or received, and I want to use them. But trims and laces and pearls, and there is some taupe or beigey elements that I've collected in the black and white. We have to decide as we go along whether or not we're going to have accents of that, to keep it more antique-y or keep it more vintage by adding that. I mean, my cardstock alone is sort of an off-white, right? So it's not a perfect black and white compared to the paper. I do have a very contemporary black and white fabric here that may end up on the cover, and it may be that I dunk it really quickly in tea to remove that white. If we find out that I'm using a lot of aspects that end up with that gold or end up with aged look, but a lot of things I've been collecting, over the past year or two, are black and white. And so that's the reason why we have some black laces in the shop, is because I knew I had this project, and when we come into fall and Halloween and even parts of Christmas or New Year's, I want those things. So we have lots of blacks and silver ruffles and fan lace and all this stuff. And I have plenty of white laces, but this is one of my new favorites. It's our tiny little scalloped, and I'm really glad we got a hold of that. So that's gonna be great for trimming edges. That and the ruffle are gonna be great for page edges. I even have this felt ribbon. I don't even know where it came from, but I have things I've been collecting. I'm like, oh, it's black. Put it in my black box. It's white, which is easy to pull from all my supplies, but this is the things we're working on. So, and under all of this is a black project board, or science project board. Well, it's not a science board for the kids because it's usually folded in thirds for you. And it's a little bit more foamy, but there's that thinner project board that you get at Dollar Tree. You can get any, probably Michael's, whatever. It's in their sections, and it's 22 by 28 inches. And this is what's going to be our base to our pages, to our panels in our waterfall. And then we're going to cover it with the digital. And maybe I'd have to see. That's the only thing I didn't pull out was my black and white papers. I think I have some scrapbook papers, black and white and silver. That I think I had a whole 6x6 scrapbook paper. That had glitters and silvers and metallics on it. So I need to pull the black and whites for those. But I want to jump in, show you my sort of vision board here of all the things that I want to pull. And then I will pause here. I will wrap it all up, get it all organized, put it in a tray over by my workstation, and then we'll get started on the template. I'll go over what your sizes are going to be, or at least the sizes I'm using. So if you want to follow along, you can do that. You need 6 pieces of paper to maybe make your template, so you have a point of reference. Or of course, I'll try to go slow enough here so you can pause and start as you work if you want to follow along. But it's finding your favorite papers, your favorite kits, whatever kind of framework you want to use. I'm matting our pages and our panels, so I've got something to use. I do have black cardstock too, construction paper in this mess, that we're going to use for smaller things. So when we're dealing with envelopes and bags, and things like that, and I want to flip them out and make them sort of interactive and play with them on the panels, I'm going to want to be able to cover some aspects of these. And sometimes we're going to want to use a black piece of paper to use this to mat, black inside, and then that mats any digital printable scrapbook paper that we're using. So we're definitely going to have some fun with these guys. I really hope there's enough projects that you guys will enjoy. So if you're looking forward to a new project with me, and something different, I normally just fold pages and make them pretty and put it in there. And I thought, no, I've been dying to do a waterfall for some time. There are many ways to do it. I've just watched enough that this is what I'm going to attempt to do, and I'll try to keep it straightforward with an occasional mention of an alternate, but I'll try not to because I know that just makes it harder, and then I get rambling and that's no good. So, okay, so I'm going to pause you guys, and there'll be a little bit more editing in the videos to come because I'm actually going to have to do this in sections, and sometimes I can get it all done in one shot. Other times I'm going to stop and start so we're not wasting a lot of time and you guys should actually see the progress of this project and not take like 8 videos deep. Yes, it means I could have it done in 3 weeks, but you may not want to see 3 weeks straight of black and white. So we'll make the most of it. So hopefully you'll keep going. You'll watch along with me today, see how we get this started. And then you can either keep watching me every day as we work on this, or trudge along on your own and see what you can do, and hopefully you'll share your progress. So I will be right back. All right, well, we're back into the workstation here. We've left the big old vision board. Everything has been cleanly organized, ready to go, and we are about as organized as I can get to try to walk you guys through this hopefully really wonderful waterfall project. Something I've been dying to do for quite some time. So I couldn't decide which kits or both kits. I have 2 black and white kits. I have a vintage black and white that has engraved florals and little kids and things that were, they remind me of the Tim Holtz kit, people, but Graphic Fairy had a whole set of digital people that I made a kit out of. But then I have this Roses in Paris, and very much more feminine, florals, roses, Paris, of course, bottles, perfume bottles, theater, all the different ladies that, I sort of grayscaled out. Just a lot of fun. So I think this will be a little bit more feminine. We can use a lot of those pretty pieces you saw on my vision board to get this going. So I have my template and my pages sort of numbered out, so it keeps me organized. My notes are here as I go along with what certain things I want to do. So hopefully this will help me stay focused when I'm trying to talk to you guys about things so that we don't get confused. So here are my pages. Bummer they were printed on the back because I originally was going to, I just thought I was going to make this into a standard journal. So it has, some really pretty papers on the back. I'm like, aw, man. But, I wasn't going to waste ink. I wasn't going to waste more paper reprinting just single-sided ones. I thought, nope, the whole point is to get through my file folder accordion storage unit and use up these kits that I printed at the time. So find a purpose and make it work. So there are 6 pages here, and they're going to help us take care of panels front and back throughout the whole thing. And then I have a whole new set of just backing pages that we're going to use on the back side or the opposite flaps or panels. We have the fleur-de-lis, we have the roses, and we have this pretty piano paper or whatever. And these are all pages that we can write on. That's the whole point. I think my ink cartridge was going. That's so funny. These have a blue-gray tone to them. This might be a little harder. This isn't as dark as I was hoping, but this may give us some panels. We may keep in mind that when we put these on back panels, maybe they're on the skinny ones or the wider ones, where maybe we're putting maybe some pockets or some tucks in these pages so we have writing space. But these are writable, and these definitely are writable. So I'm keeping in mind everywhere, which is Sunday, how we're going to use this. So let's see. We're going to put the pages aside because paneling is going to be near the end of what we want to do, including the fact that our back page here is a very specific paneling section. So I have these 2 lovely pages that I think are going to end up being the middle signature, and the way they, will fold is both ways. They're going to be the front and back of our waterfall. So that is going to, for sure, which is right here. So I took that one piece of 22 by 28, cut it 11 inches down the middle, because we need these to be 11 wide, and then cut them at 8.5 inch increments up the page, or up the poster board, and I was able to get 6 out perfectly, leaving me with only these 2 pieces. That's all that's left, which are going to help with extra panels, flips, you know, flip outs, interactive pieces. We're going to put that to good use. So it is thicker than a cardstock, or as thick as cardstock, maybe. Some over 100 pound, maybe. This is definitely thicker than 65 pound, but I think it's definitely, it doesn't say on the back. I feel like it's not quite 110, but it's not 65 pound. It's somewhere in between, which is this great little poster board. Dollar Tree, Michael's, whatever. It's great when the kids have projects. And so I had a bunch of it because we were supposed to make art portfolios for my daughter's 5th grade at-home art project, whatever. And it never happened, of course. That was sort of a joke. So I had these sheets, and I love the black, and I wanted to use it to matte our pages. So this one was a little short also. I had a few glitches while cutting. And so for a middle signature, it's fine. It's folded in half. It's going to not make a difference in the world. The rest of these are all ready to go. Starting out with the first one, ending with our last one. Okay, so let's see how we're going to go about this. What I did was I took 6 pieces of standard 8.5 by 11. We are sticking to our base pieces. This white piece of paper you see is technically this black stuff. Okay, it is 8.5 by 11. If I opened up this first piece of paper, or close, I think we're a smidge short of 11, but it is a standard piece of paper, right? I have a paper clip together. There we go. Okay, this is all my notes. This piece of paper is what I matched, or matched the black poster board to a standard piece of paper. Okay, really easy. Then, because our printers normally print a white border, the border for me, at least, was perfect. I took 1/4 inch off, took the borders off, and they sit with 1/8 of an inch top and bottom. Okay, give or take. Now, because we're going to cut this and we're going to glue it down as a panel, we're going to be able to, you know, give a little bit all the way around and have a little extra, but we get to play and move these around a little bit. So everything works inside itself with the least amount of cutting. So if you cut off your the white borders of your digitals, or you're going to cut your scrapbook paper, if that's what you have, down to only 8.25 tall. So you're paneling inside. If you want this matted look, where you have a little bit of a border, a mat around each panel, your papers only need to be 8.25 tall. And then they will sit inside each panel. So our front one, now this could be a front cover. This could just be the first page of the waterfall. I hope to put a full cover on this thing. So when we're done, our cover is going to be 8.75 tall by 8.25 wide. That will be the size of this journal when we're done. Now we may do this and find out that this is just gorgeous and I decorate it and we don't put a cover over all of this and you see that waterfall right off the bat. But who knows? We will design it and lay it out as if almost that there's not going to be a cover on it. But if we get too fancy, or you get really, really fancy and very 3D, then I don't need to put a cover on it. If I keep it sort of flat and thin and simple, then we may want to get more dimension and put a hardback cover on this. Hardback meaning another card. We'll get press board and we'll give it a spine and we'll cover it up. It just depends on how it's going, right? Depends if I feel like I can't get too much inside, we're going to put all that dimension on the outside. So your first piece, the easiest thing to do is to take 6 pieces of paper, like I said. This is how I'm doing it. This is how it laid out perfectly. Your first page is going to be scored at 3 inches. Okay? 3 inches gives you your first flap and your back flap. Then you go in at 1/2 inch increments. So then I scored at 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, then 5.5. Now 5.5 is exact perfect in half piece. Okay, that is your middle signature. Middle of your signature. I just kept saying middle signature, but it is the middle one. You have to have it. I was going along going, why is there such a huge gap? And I was like, duh, your last one here, your middle one, your 6th piece of paper, has to be folded perfectly in half. So we don't have a huge, like 1/2 inch or a full inch gap. It doesn't keep your waterfall effect when you do that. So 6 pages. So you can start off folding your inside 1 1/2 and then go out 1/2 inch. Go out 1/2 inch, go out 1/2 inch. Okay. So again, if you want to pause and start, and it's not clean, but you need to know that your scores, each page, start out at 3. The next page is 3.5. The next page is scored at 4, 4.5, 5, and 5.5, or folded in half, however you want to put it. Okay, those are all your scores, where you have to score it to get that constant increase, okay, throughout the pages to give you the waterfall. Now, I'm treating this as if you've never done this, and this is what I had to figure out. Now, if you've done waterfalls, you've got it down pat, you know the way to go do it, and you can just craft along with me as we go along, and you have someone to listen to while you do it. And maybe there's something I did differently that may make it easier for you. I watched a few different people through a couple different people around the way. Gail will do it with double-sided scrapbook paper, folds it, gets it done, and all she has to do is decorate inside the pages. She keeps the printed paper as what you see. Oh my God, I can't think of her name. Treasure something right now, and I will put her down below. I've used her before for references. She's a great little tutorial ways, and she showed us a couple different ways also to do waterfall. So I'll put her down below. You can always take a look at her to see where I got mine from, my ideas from, whatever. She may be able to give it to you better. I'm only doing what I'm doing because I want a matted look for this black and white. Otherwise, you would take your double-sided paper, your double-sided scrapbook paper, and you would just do the same thing. You would still have all these scored lines, right, up to 5.5. 3 to 5.5, whatever you want to do. It's easiest with a piece of paper, and this is just the cleanest measurements. And you'd be fine. You'd have, by doing what I'm doing, you see plenty of the page before you. Now, if you're not matting your papers, though, you could probably drop this down by 1/4 inch. You could do it every 1/4 inch and maybe need less paper. Maybe you would need 4 pieces of paper, or you want it longer. You would need 12 pieces. To do that same 8 inches, you would need 12 pieces, because you would score it at every 1/4 inch, because you would see your double-sided paper underneath. You would still see the pattern of each page. Now, because we don't see, if I only did these at 1/4 inches, you would never see the printed page underneath. You would never see the edge of that black and white page. You'd only see the black. So I went 1/2 inch marks. Okay, this is why, if you want a matted look, you do a 1/2 inch. You want to just take double-sided paper, I would score it at 1/4 inch. So you would do 3, 3.25, 3.5, 4.25, 4, or whatever I did. Yeah, you would do it at the 1/4 mark. So 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, 4, so on and so forth. And you could do about double the papers. So you'd go 12 pages instead of 6, and you'd have the same 3x8 when you were done. But it all depends on what you have. Make it adjust to you, a fit to you. You pretty much, the smaller, the more scoring you do, the more papers you need to have the same width. If that makes any sense. So today, we want it matted. We want to see the matting, and we want to see an edge piece of the printed paper underneath. So I'm doing 1/2 inch scores. I have 12 pages, 12 pieces of paper for my template. Not 12, well, 12. 6 pieces of paper for my template, 6 black pieces of paper to represent this. Okay. And I have them labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so that I know on the back side here, that's 6B. So this 5B is the other half of my 5 panel. 4B, 4, 3B, 3, 2B. Okay, so when I'm looking at this and trying to figure out what I'm doing, I know visually what I'm looking at. So every one of these front sides, the right front side here, is going to have the digital decorative journal page. The back side here, so the inside left of each page, is going to have the simpler journal page on it. So you can write on this page, look at the pretty page. And these pretty pages, at least every other one, is going to have some kind of interactive flap to write on, or have something stuck, tucked into it to write on. Journal card tab or tags. It could just be a fold out and you write on it, whatever. But this will always be writable, and as you go along, these pages, these writing pages, are going to get bigger on the left-hand side. I'm also going to try to put a 24-page naked journal that goes with this kit right in the middle of this. So the middle of my signature piece, my 1/2 page, I'm going to do a 5x8 writing journal right in the middle here. Okay, and all of this is going to get sewn together into, potentially sewed together or sewn into a cover. And we might make it a 1-inch spine, so this has room to crocodile out and still sit nicely inside the cover without it flapping open. The goal is to try to keep it sort of photo album based with the cover, so that it's, you know, it stays flat, it sits flat, it works well. Okay, so let's get going. I don't know how much. Let's get the black pages scored so they fold nicely, so we can see what this white piece of paper turns into the black one. And then we'll start working on panels. Today is to get this scored and get this, at least the panels chosen, marked up, ready to go. And then I'll cut them off screen, and we can actually glue one or two on. Now, I won't glue the panels on though probably right away, because then we're going to go back and look and see which ones we want interactive. Because if we're going to put, we're going to have the tab, right, tip something in on some of these active pages, and we want to be able to use that decorative page to hide whatever tab that we need to tip in, you know, to hide that. That's why we're not tipping anything on the writing side, so that way there's no bumps on this side. We can hide the bumps. I don't plan anybody writing on this side, so we're not going to really notice or feel any little paper tabbed in or tipped in to give us an outer flip, a flop, a fold down, you know, whatever. Or it's just going to have a lot of, or we're going to glue on top and put cute pockets depending on the design on the panel. Okay, so I've rambled all my fun things. So we're going to start off with this one, finding, okay, and the reason I'm doing it is there's a slight slit, but not a full cut through. And I figured the back, I have this great idea, and I'm going to cover a lot of this and glue, and you're not going to see that when we're done. So I figured this was my first page, and it was going to be plenty fine for what we need to do. Let's start off maybe with the back. We're going to work our inside out. Hope you're all doing really well. I did record those first 6 minutes a while ago. It feels like days ago. What do we, 15 and 6 is 21. So I have about 40 minutes or less to go. So let me put a quick timer on for about 35 minutes so I know to wind it up. I don't want to go too long, and I'm hoping I keep this really simple for you guys. But you know me, I love to talk. But this is a semi-tutorial, and at least I'm walking you through the process with me, right? I'm trying to do as much as I can to show you something. I think you guys are enjoying those a little bit more. So I do have the scoreboard. Works pretty well. It's a little thinner than I like. These don't quite fit inside the way I want. They're a little thick. But when I used my little scoring tool before, yeah, those were thick on the ends. It actually sort of ripped through a piece of paper. So that was not helpful. There's that. I mean, it's okay. It's not as great. Where'd my other one go? I have a smaller, oh, there it is. But I don't think it's any thinner. I got to find something to score with that isn't going to, ooh, that has a narrower spot right there. Let's see if that works. That just feels thick. All right. I want to make sure I get a good score line, but I don't want to rip the paper. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? Now, I just did that, and I'm going to kick myself because I am coming up short on this one. I need to go smack in the middle. See, I got so worried about one thing. Luckily, we can cover that up. Okay, so 10 inches is 5. It's 5.5, so it's a quarter. That's a half mark. So I'm going to figure out my middle section. I need to, yeah, a few pages got tweaked. And I was having a hard time cutting this because it was so big. So we're quarter, no, that's half. A little over half, but around the quarter mark, and that's a half mark. So that'd be exactly 11. Why did I do it at 6? Oh, it's I saw number 6, so that's my bad. Jeez. So we'll just do 5.5 and see. This is the middle of it, which is fine. This is going to get covered. It is not the end of the world. When you score it, you fold it backwards, works best, so I am definitely off. Not a huge deal. I just don't know where it'll sit in here. I sit it here. One goes to the outside, one doesn't. So this isn't a bad thing where we have that little 1/4 inch, but you're not going to see that panel page in the back. And that's something that was going to bug me. So I have to go over a little bit more. Yeah. Well, at least we're working on this one. It is the middle. It is going to get, I can always go a little farther to the edges. So why am I stuck on 6? Yeah, I don't think 6 at all. I think it's page 6, and that's what was getting me all kerfluffled. Right. It is a little thinking. And I normally don't do that much thinking when it comes to these things. Oh, and that's okay. You know what? Because when we do our panels, it'll give me that 1/4 inch, that 1/8 of an inch that I need. So I know to put my piece of paper right here when I'm lining it up. All right, we're going to make it work. The rest is going to get covered. It's okay. So now that is almost, that is still not perfect. Jeez. Well, that is going to drive me insane. And I don't want to cut another piece of paper. You have no clue, guys. I guess the only other thing would be to change the middle completely. It sits inside. You know what? That's what lace is for. That is what lace is for. I could put one trim right here small and do the next one a little wider and blend it, and no one would know the difference. So we're going to make it work. We are not wasting any material. I just can't. I don't want to cut a whole nother piece of paper down to do this. So we will do it where the bigger side's in the back, the other side's in the front. I have to cover this up anyway. This is getting quite a bit of coverage though because of the papers. We are doing almost a full, I may even go all the way over and bend it, and we may not even see this middle on one side or the other. It is the middle of the signature, so I might go all the way across this because and just do a 1/4 of an inch all the way on the outside only because it is the middle signature. So we'll see. Ugh. Struggle bus. Yes, it's gonna be a struggle bus. Who says that? Somebody we know says that. So I have my 2 inks out. We are gonna do I have black ink for most of our work. Any panel work, any of the white pages that are going on these panels, we're gonna ink around it with black, so that it gives us a nice shadow. And then I have my gray for any kind of ephemera, for the journal pages, anything else we just want to, accent, but we really want that nice black solid, whatever. Something about the black. I just have a thing about black. Okay, so here's our first page. It is almost 11, and this is where we're going to be careful. I can stick to my numbers the way they were, knowing this comes up a little short, but I'm just shy, so I feel like I need to go just a smidge. So if we line it up with the 11 and then hit my marks, it does make this each panel shorter though. I can make it up for in the back side. I don't want to mess up the front panels as we're going along when we're folding it. I want to make sure those panels stick to my numbers. I was having a hard time and everything came up weird. And so what I could do is just slightly shift it over and make my 3 and my 3.5, or it is helping that whatever your base is. I mean, if you're doing just paper, you're going straight to paper. You're not doing the whole matted look. This is going to be real easy, guys. This is not going to be complicated. You are simply having a perfect 11-inch piece of paper, and you're doing the 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, or quarters, 3, 3.25, 3.5, so on and so forth. So it really just depends how you see it. And so like I said, I'm going to take it and just move it over just a smidge to make up the difference, so it's not quite all the way. As you know, my cutting isn't straight. And 3, I'm not sure what that is. 3 3/4, like 3 1/6 or 3.65 or something. We have some very interesting marks across this thing. There must be some, because I think this came from a scrapbook type card making thing. It definitely has some interesting spots that are unusual to me. So, technically, I can go this way and turn it upside down, I guess. Doesn't really matter. Alright, so as we go, I just get to, hopefully, ta-da, see? And with these, before we go too far, I will probably try to ink any white cuts. In between, it was fine, and even on the outsides, they are a little bit. I may go back and do the black ink, because I don't know if I want that white tip everywhere. I didn't think about that. Okay, so we're now up to 4 inches. We're on the panel number 3. Let's see. Yeah, did the 3. I did the 3.5. I'm at the 4 now. And again, I'm just moving things over just a little bit to make this work. I didn't really want to spend too much time on this with you guys on the camera, but you do. You see it, But yeah, if you're using double-sided papers that are at 11 inches by 8.5, 11, then you don't have to do much. You just score. You really don't. And that makes it, wonderful. Makes it real easy. It's best when you're scoring to fold it backwards. Folding it inwards a little harder because you scored on the top of the page. And so I do have some stuff where I have this, and when I try to pull it off, it took the black off because this is not a black through and through. Not like construction paper. It is just a black layer on top of white. So when I started to try to pull this off, I did lose some black, and I was like, ooh, okay, well, we'll just cover that. We'll cover that with lace. I'll cover that with black ink. I will find another way, because I'm afraid I don't think it will. Some will, some won't. I'll be really careful. This one might come off. I tried to take the other half off, and it pulled up the black ink. Oh, it came off. Okay. That one I got lucky. The one on the back page or whatever it is not so lucky. Okay. Now that I can't cover that part with ink or with lace, it's not a big deal. So where am I at? 3, 3.5, 4. Which looks a little wide. So I'm at 4.5. So yeah, everything's a little different, but I'm trying to keep it somewhat consistent with the same ordeal. I said 4.5. Oh, so hopefully you're all doing really well. I'm so thank you for joining me today on my new project. It's going to be Monday night. Don't think I'm doing the midnight thing anymore. I don't know. I haven't decided whether it's midnight and you guys have all day to... Maybe I'll stick to my midnights. I don't know. Stick to my midnights so that when it comes up for you in that morning, you can look, you can watch, you can grab your supplies, pause it, go grab your supplies and join me, right? So here's our middle. We're going to put it in and I'm going to... Alright, so that was 5.5 inches in my mess. This is supposed to be the 5-inch mark because we just did 4.5. Alright, yeah, my cutting is not straight. So doing a waterfall with a double-sided paper or double-sided scrapbook paper is probably extremely easier because you are not taking into account this extra fluff that I'm dealing with. But that's me. That's my personal preference. So you at least get to see what it looks like to do such a thing. There we go. So, in all its glory, one of the reason that you see that white right there is because it's simply just my middle signature to remind me. And we have, even though there's a slight hiccup here, it's not a bad one. It's not something that's super obvious right now. And really, like I said, if I put lace over here to blend in with this page, no one's going to even know. Most of these pages, even, that is the thing. If I add lace to some of these outside pages, it is going to block that beautiful look. So I may be really careful with that, where we put lace on the outside, lace maybe on the first one, and lace in the middle, but we're not going to mess with that lovely waterfall feel, right? Now we are doing this all the same color, black matted, black and white and gray, white and gray coloring. So it's going to have some feel. I'm hoping we get enough dimension and enough pattern. This is so satisfying. Pattern that we see it all. And hopefully it stayed in sight. Okay, so there we go. We took our white template and turned it into my black, and it is thicker. So now I need to go back and score all these pages. Not score, but sort of flatten them all because they're only going to get fluffier. So we want to go back as carefully as you can, because every little mark does show on this paper, but we're going to want to do the bone folder and sort of push down on things, because every time we open this up, every time we use it, it's going to open and close. So we want it pretty thin so it doesn't have too much weight. And this is not something that we can change later. If it gets thicker, there's no really pulling it apart and starting over. Or trying to make it 2 signatures. I mean, I could, but it'd be a very odd set of odd waterfall if I tried. Okay, there we go. Ta-da, not so bad. It's great when you have the numbers worked out. So now we need to decide, and we're going to show it just so you see. So each inside folder is going to have a 1/4 inch, and it's going to have one of these 3 things here, and here, and here. So like I'll probably go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And hope that what we do on one side, the other half of that paper goes on the other side. That's the other thing. I don't need hundreds of pieces of paper because whatever we cut here, there's leftover for the other side. So what goes here would go back here. So I have to think about my back page, because the only thing about there's only one page, 2 or 3 pages I have to really think about. And we're going to start off, or not start off with, but what I want to do, what did I do with it? A little thought process here about this interactive stuff is that I have this lovely trifold, or a large tag pocket. So I want to cut this and put it either on the outside edge, middle, inside edge, probably middle to outside edge. Since this is going to be sort of a writing page concept, it's a great place to put a pocket. So I want to put this beautiful large scalloped tag pocket that has a, has a cover, and that has some, I have 2 of these scallop tags to put inside it. And we're going to use that on the back. That's going to be one of our first interactives. So I'm going to want either that blackish color on the back. I want one of these on the back. Or I'm going to want the rose page. And I'm thinking, so sorry, excuse me. I'm thinking the rose page simply because that our rose page is going to be the most delicate. It's going to be the most feminine. And this is going to give us a great base to put a bunch of lovely fussy cuts and decorate it up. So if I really, really, really want to decorate this and make this a non-cover journal, meaning this is pretty much going to be our baby and there's nothing covering it, we want to put all of our dimension here, is here. But even if we don't, even just some flat fussy cuts and thin and flat laces would still be really pretty as our first panel of our waterfall. And this is going to give us our best bet. So, give you a feel for how this should go before we get into the inside. So you see what I'm doing, and you wonder why I'm hemming and hawing later. And we'll work on the inside panel too, because I know that the inside panel, I'm going to do 2 panels right now. How's that? We'll work on 2 different panels right now. So you guys actually get to see. That and the inside panel, I already know what we're going to do. That we are going to do, I know for sure, we need to start off with, oh, wait, no, I take that back. See, I'm glad I was talking. So the inside panel doesn't really matter right here because this one is going to be perfectly decorative. Though that wasn't a bad idea. I have corners, right? I might want to put her on the front, and which means this other half goes on the inside here. See, I got so excited. I almost forgot what I was doing. Yeah, I need to pick one of our smaller sections. I almost think it's going to be one of this. It's going to be this way, actually. We would use this. I'm sorry, my chair is squeaking so much. I get a new chair coming. It was supposed to be here Monday. And today, I guess. And then they didn't ship out till Saturday. So, oh, it's going to be there Thursday now. Oh, so upset. Anyway. So anyway, this actually would be a really pretty front. Very Paris-y. And she would be our inside back cover. Whatever I cut here, the rest goes here. Should be perfect. Yeah, just right where this cuts here, I'll trim in a little bit. It gives me a little bit of room to trim both ways, but she would be that inside. So when you start flipping through, I know a lot of it's going to get covered, but you're going to see this roses right here and you're going to wonder what's on the back page. So I'm sorry, that might be our front. I'm thinking about the insides, but we'll practice with the inside panel. That way we don't screw up a perfectly good piece of paper. But I want to go through each one of these, as you see. Which ones are good, left and right, right? What paneling? It may be that as each one goes along, we're going to wonder what cuts best. And some of these may get flipped. We may cut it, and this is going to go on this front and not the back side. Keeping in mind, though, what we put, this will be decorative on the inside, and all you're going to see is this sort of generic little bit of pattern on that outer edge. So it just depends how we want to tease somebody with somebody or whether we just want to give a really base. But that base pages may be great to tip something. So you're going to see the edge of the new tipped interactive piece more than you're going to see the paper. This one's gorgeous. Also, she would be really pretty on the front. That's great for somewhere in the middle where we just have to cover. These two are good. She's a little wide for the front. And very Queen Elizabeth, which gives us room down here. This one will also give us a lot of room to decorate. I could totally collage underneath her and really give us some dimension. And she'd be pretty on the back. And so with this would give us a great front, collage up here, she's on the back. So there are options throughout this whole thing. Otherwise, they're just fun. And if there is a lot of empty space as we go in on the panels, this gives us room to put a pocket up here, cluster. When they open it up, they see something underneath, or we flip out from the top. And, we're hiding, we're tipping, we're teasing with the decorative underneath. So there's options, and there's so many options. We're going to have to really think our way through it. But what we'll do is let's work on the inside and the signature, get you a feel for spacing and cutting and things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to put, because I really think, so now I don't know what I want to do. The first one could be roses on the inside. There's not a problem with that. It gives me an opportunity to keep it really light and airy. And if I really want a lot of writing space, we could go even lighter. So your first inner page has a great intro to your journal where you have this ability to write on it. And this is going to go on the back, which is going to look lovely with that as our background to our rose floral and fleur-de-lis pattern, ornate or fleur-de-lis pattern piece of ephemera. So it's amazing how this is such a blue-green and sort of a blue-gray. And this one has a little bit more taupe to it. It's amazing. This is a little bit more creamer. This is supposed to be a bright white paper, and it's an off-white. Who knew, right? But that does give us dimension. That gives us, that's where I think a little bit of that antique-y, taupey gold colors come in, even though it's supposed to be black and white. But each one of these pages, once it's cut, are going to be inked with black too. So here is the fun part. Our measurements, if I find my scalp, I even went back in to remind myself. Stays 8 1/4. I don't have to trim it anymore. I already trimmed off the excess paper. I don't have to cut top to bottom. All I have to do is cut in horizontally, right? Cut in in the length or width, because it is a horizontal page, landscape page. Sorry, I need to move closer or something. The squeaking of my chair is starting to irritate me. It's an ottoman, and it's a rotating ottoman. It's like a swivel, like a lazy Susan type ottoman, which was great when I'm working out here, but I don't have any back support. I'm not sitting crisscross applesauce like I expected to do when I was first started, and it is getting squeaky, and it's just getting in the way, so I need rollers. Okay, so what we're going to do is, so anyway, so I didn't have to think about it. I started measuring. I need 1/4 of an inch off from the actual panel width, so that I have 1/8 of an inch all the way around. If you know me, I'm anal retentive about stuff. I want a nice, clean, even matting. Even when I do my panel work, I try to, even if I do the deckled edges, I try to sort of make sure around the edges it's somewhat even for what we see underneath. I am not haphazard enough. I am not a, I don't want to call them messy, but I'm not a just slap it down junk journaler. I'm too anal retentive and OCD for that. Oh, that's a graphic designer in me who did a lot of pagination and a lot of, from advertisings to phone books to so many things that had to be, fit within a print work that, you get a little anal retentive about stuff. So, but it comes out really pretty if you do it and you make the effort. Oh my God. I mean, we can hide things and we can make it work, but you've seen me do it. You've seen me go, well, that didn't work. Time to add lace. So anyway, I went into each panel so I knew where to go to remind myself. If this was a 3 1/2 inch, I need 3 1/4. This was 4, I need 3 3/4. This should be, 4 1/2, I should need 4 1/4. So as we go through, it'll remind me how much I'm supposed to cut off. And if I've done this all right, it should fit. Now, what I will do if I make a mistake and this doesn't go as planned, we are going to make sure these outer edges, right, depending on the panel, fit beautifully. And we're going to let the oddball sit on the inside of the inside flap, because this is going to get sewn in. So you have a little bit of give here to let that page go up to the crease, but when at least your outer edges, which everybody's going to see, are going to be as even as you can do. Now, if you love it, just collaged on, go for it. Please make it fit you. But like I said, I can't do it. So I can't. So this is going to go on the inside and this is going to go on the back, because I think that's what I want to do for our first page. So that would have been a great idea if we really, really, really wanted to decorate that outside panel for a cover. We could have done that. And I'm running out of space. My workbox table is just not big enough anymore. But I can't. I thought I could start working on the other section, on the other side, but the table I have is too rickety on the carpet, and though we're looking at removing it. Now I'm going to put this upside down because I feel this is the lightest page and I want it on the left side. So, I need to find my 8 inch mark, I guess. Perfect. There was one right here. I'm going to start at 8 inches, and then I'm going to probably think about that. 8 inches for this one, but it's not 8, is it? What's this back going to be? I didn't write anything on the back. Isn't that funny? Inside, 7 3/4. So I can cut 8, so I know for sure, and then bring it down. So I have 8 and 3. I can bring it down to the next 2 slots, but I hate to have slits. That bugs me. All right, so if you know the back is 8, I just looked at my thing, right? That's what the whole point is. My back page is 7 3/4 to do this properly. So my inside, whatever I do on these measurements here is the same on the back. So if I'm saying my inside panel is 7 3/4, then I will just mark it at 7 3/4. So that way I know that that cut really nicely. This now fits beautifully back here, right? Or darn close. We're going to center it the best we can. I have a feeling my black pages are not perfectly cut. And I don't know if there's a way to fix that. I'm afraid if I cut anything else off, it's gonna mess up every single signature thing I've got. So we're gonna do it the best we can. Like I said, again, if it has to be, we're gonna let it. Now this is exactly in the back page, so I'm gonna want to center this the best I can, right? And then if it's just like it's not, I can see it's not gonna be perfect because of whatever cut job. That's what lace is for. Lace, and then you can collage in corners, then you can collage in places and hide and, you know, disguise any imperfections. Though it is a handmade item, it is an imperfection. So there we go. That works pretty good. All in all, not shabby. I cannot complain with my inability to cut things straight. So this one needs to be 2 3/4, and that didn't work. I don't even have 2 inches. I have 1 3/4. How does that not work? 11 inches, quarter off, 10.5. No. Well, that still doesn't make sense. Well, 2 and 7 is 9. 10.5. I don't know, people. 3 1/4. That's all. Oh, 3 1/4. All right, so this is what's bugging me. Oh. Yeah, 2 to 3 is 3 3/4. I have plenty. I just got to figure out where to cut it off. Oh, this corner right here. That's why. I am not used to this. I am hoping I don't mess this up because I am cutting from a different. I'm using this score thing and not a standard paper cutter, but it's too big and I didn't want to cut into things. So I just got to pay attention up here, not from the outside edge, which is what I'm used to doing. Oh my goodness, people. Thank God I double checked it. I said, no, my math. Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm not like super, like, oh my gosh, my math is perfect kind of deal. And I goof it up all the time, but I was like, really? I didn't think I was that far off. All right. So now I do have a little strip. You know me. All these little strips is what we'll probably have left over on every single page. This can be weaved together and we can cover something. You know me, I'll make a weaved piece of ephemera at some point. I'm going to need something large. Okay, so there's that. So there's that one on the inside. Let's get it right. I'm going to need lots and lots of paper clips because until I know for sure, I'm probably not going to glue anything down because one, I have to go back through all of these and I do need to ink them all. Okay. So today, let's cut things and let's get them paper clipped in place. I think I have more paper clips up there. And, you know, making sure that I have everything where I think I want it, that I've looked it at. I can, you know, eyeball it, make sure things look great. Okay, so the inside backs right now are taken care of for that one. Okay, now this one, we do have to decide because if I decide to cover it perfectly. Yes, this one I was going to do on the outside because it happens to have a nice natural slice right here. I could score it, fold it over, trim off the other end, whatever I needed to, or a little bit of both ends. The inside, I wanted to do this one because it was continuous. It is a little large because remember we want a little bit off. So I do need to trim a little off somewhere. And it may be that I take a smidge off both sides. Because remember, I only need... It's not even 11 right now. So if it was 11, I would need 10 and... I have to decide. I think I'm trying to decide, do I want to keep... I know I want the outer panels. I just don't know because the middle, do I want to make it feel like a true signature and we just fold it where we want it and cut the rest off. So if we are scoring, gotta sort of match the scores. Match the scoring space so that we might be able to match that. And I pretty much want it to blend right there on the inside. Maybe. And then decide where. Not doing this too professionally. This is where there's a little bit of, you know, play because there is going to be a signature sewn into this one, or a, you know, a signature into the signature here. Let's see if I did this right now. Do it the other way. This is where I was bummed because there is, you know, there is stuff printed, but that's okay. I'm gonna get this right. Eek. There we go. Let's see, did I do that correctly? So I do have to trim some stuff off, but you know, it is definitely with the fold right now, right on the edges of both. So if I cut just a smidge off both sides, we would have our middle. So I really just want to cut a little off. We're talking minuscule on both ends, just to, because I don't want to cut one or the other because they're both really close to the edge on the design work. And I'm not going to keep every little piece, but we'll see. Let's see if that little bit helped. Yeah, that really did work actually. Now the fun part is, as we found out in the past, is figuring out how to get it glued down and not have it buckle on me. Weirdly, I know we glue one side down, let it, and then maybe glue here, press it, and then when we open it, hopefully it will stretch with the paper. I know it's the reason why they cut the panel, so you don't have to deal with that, but I do know. Again, just that little bit. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're joining me. You're trying to do something new. Now you could do this smaller. You can make this any size. You could do the same thing, like I said, with just two-sided paper. Make it half the size. You can make it a little one. I think Gail's done 6x6 or 12x12 pages. Cut them in half. So you have 6x6, technically when they're folded. And she did them, you know, smaller. So she made it a little, like, only like yay tall. And made a cute little waterfall. You just decorate the pages, put things on them, and you're good to go. So there is, what I don't think I just didn't catch was her doing it. I could not find the video where it actually showed her, like measuring or scoring, and I just missed it. You know, I see her working on it. It's a Tim Holtz paper, that she was working on. And so, yeah, I think now because of that, you know, we do see some of this one. It's not perfectly cut. I'm not perfectly folded either, I see. I feel like I'm off. So I don't know if I'm off because of the cut or I'm off because of the scoring, which is a little bit of both. Let's see if I can. Because we scored this one in the middle a couple times. I am also trying to cover up that mishap here. This is where I said I was trying to take off the thing and it pulled up black. It actually pulled up the black, paper, I think. Yeah, so we're definitely covering things up the place. So this is the tentative. This is what we're thinking. So only weird part is because of how it is, for some reason, even in the cut, it's not straight. You can't see it, which is interesting. It does worry me a little, but this one's off. Maybe this one's off all the way around. We may just see black. We may not see anything else. So I'm trying to line this up to where it's a little straighter. Might give me a little bit more work. Okay, let's see. Come on, there we go. I am being inattentive, and that's going to be the problem. It's going to possibly bite me in the butt, but no one wants to clean up a bunch of boo-boos right off the bat. But I think that's fine. We're not going to see a whole lot anyway because of the fact that we are going to have to put lace on this one to sort of cover up the fact that we are not perfectly whatever. So, okay, we'll make the best of it. Now on the outside, again, we have room. So this one, I can't do 1/4 of an inch because I know that's not the case. This one's where it needs to be. I know, we're doing the same concoction, and I don't know if this is the best way to go about it. Not really, right? Let's see. I have a general idea to see if this is going to work so I know exactly how much to cut. And I may not try to hit him and haw at this one. This one, we may just leave the fact that both sides have quite a bit, and I'm just cutting off the back because I don't want to. Now here I may cut a little bit because I did realize that this isn't perfectly cut by me. And then the back, you know what, when it's folded, it's almost perfect. I may not touch it. I hate to do the front one, but it is cuts off. I just want to trim it a smidge to get it straight. And then, you know, we'll use this one. We may put a little lace under the page to hide, you know, hide all that anyway. So that's the other thing we gotta keep in mind. Do we want to put lace over the page or under the page? Makes it bumpier when you put the lace under, depending on the lace. If my lace is really flat, I can put it under. I could go back and I could decal the page, put the lace over it. 10 to 1, we're going to put lace over the pages, not under, right? So that way the lace is an extra trim work, not anything else. So yes, this one is going to be a little deeper, but we are expecting to put lace over it. So it lets me put a nice lace trim over this edge to blend it to here. So I can have a nice trim lace, a good, half an inch deep, which I have some, and make that work to hide any imperfections. Give it a great piece. We think we can put even I have a skinny white lace. My little tiny scallop lace could go on this one. I could put a black one on this one or another white one here, and it would give us our lace in the middle. Okay, there we go. We have, but I want to just get this on the outside. Until we're perfectly done, we are going to keep as many labels on things as possible because I do not want to goof anything up more than necessary, right? All right, so that's the basic. If you're going to do a mat, you know, do your measurements, do your templates, figure out where things are laying out. Let's put these back in place along with everything else and see how things are sort of panning out. Every time we put another panel in, the goal, as you can see, is we see something. We see the black mat, right, to break it up, and then you see the new page. You see a hint of something. And this one, if we do it right, you'll see some lace and a little bit of flower. And on the back, you know, we don't really see this one, and that's okay. It's inside. Still, we do enough lace here. That's going to be your indicator on most of these pages. In this case, that lace is going to be your indicator that there's something going on in the middle of this lovely waterfall. All right, there's that. Now, let me get this out of the way. It's not really fun to look at while we decide on the rest. I mean, we need to start paneling out things, but let's see how much time we have. Okay, then, ladies and gentlemen, let's pick our poison. Pick your paper. So I'm going to recap here as we finish off real quick before this gets any longer of a video. Thank you for joining me. I really do appreciate that you came along and you're watching this lovely production. So recapping, if you like a matted look, right? We want a matted waterfall panel journal. You need to have 8.5 by 11 pieces of base, right? Your base pieces are 8.5 by 11. You start scoring and folding at 3 inches for your first panel. So you have 8 inches on the back panel. If you then continue to panel in your scrapbook paper, your digital paper, then we are working at 1/4 of an inch cutoffs. So we have 1/8 of an inch borders, 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And you're going to have every piece of paper trimmed down to be 8 1/4 tall. And then you're going to, cut them accordingly. Like this one, 2 3/4 for a 3-inch panel. Okay. If you do not want to attempt a matted border piece, you still get 11 by 8.5 pieces of double-sided scrapbook paper, digital paper, whatever works for you, and you still score. Okay. Now, if you like decorating the edges of your paper, 6 pieces will work. Decorate the edges. You still see your double-sided scrapbook paper. Okay. And you would stay to the exact same measurements I had before. 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, and 5.5. If you don't like decorating, though, the edges of your paper, you don't need to see this much of your scrapbook paper or digital paper. Go up to 12 pieces, so you still have an 8-inch journal, but you're going to score every 1/4 of an inch. And so it means you need more paper to fill in those gaps that we now don't have to get all the way down to 8 inches. Because now it's 3, 3 1/4, 3.5, 3 3/4, 4. Okay, a lot more folds in here, so we need more paper to fill in. You need a piece of paper for every one of these gaps now. So if you don't want to do the mat, you don't want to have that border, you don't want to have to deal with multiple, ordeals, and you don't want to cover your base, then you're just going to double your pages to stay to an 8-inch journal, and you go every 1/4 of an inch. Okay. Otherwise, 6 pieces, front and back, decorate or put trim on the edge of each piece, and you still get that border and decorative paper, border, decorative paper, border, decorative paper. You're just using trim, lace trim, tiny trim, all that. What is it? I almost had the word. Shoot. Anyway, whatever you use here in this space, you will still have the same effect. You just don't have to cut a second piece of paper to cover your base. Okay. But get your base, whatever it may be, 8.5 by 11, and start scoring 3 inches, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5. If you're going to decorate the edges. Otherwise, 1/4 inches, 3, 3.25, 4, 3.5, 4.25, 4, 3. Yeah. Anyway, put 1/4 inch scores and extra pieces of paper in between, and you will get, a fuller waterfall, less covering, less measuring, but you'll definitely need double the paper too. So 12 pages if you don't want to do what I'm doing, 6 if you're going to do what I'm up to. And you, like I said, measure it out to where you still have that 3 by 8 paneling, 3 here, 8 in the back, and away you go. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful week. I will be back on Wednesday. We're going to decorate and start putting together these first 2 panels that we worked on, right? And then we'll start picking out all those other lovely pieces to start working out the rest of the details. It'll definitely be a series, and it's definitely going to be quite a few, but I really want to work on this project with you guys and make the most of it and teach you or share my knowledge along the way. So love you all very much. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you all on Wednesday. Bye-bye.